Assessify can support your preparations for NBA and NAAC accreditation and NIRF ranking. Connect with our team to witness the magic of Assessify in action. Introducing Assessify, world's first AI-powered auto-grading of coding assessments, providing personalized feedback on each line of code, aimed at boosting employability and success in campus recruitment.
Jack, should we start?
Let's see the magic of Assessify auto-coding in action in this video.
Yeah,
Showcasing.
Let's start. Amazing. I think we're all good to go. Yeah. Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in from all corners of the globe. We certainly hope today is going to be a very insightful discussion looking at how AI or artificial intelligence is revolutionizing and transforming coding skills and employability for the next generation of graduates and future employees. My name is Jack Hassel. I'm one of the co-founding team at Assessify, based out of London as part of our globalization efforts. And whether many of the audience are familiar or not, Assessify, we imagine a world where every assessment is a development tool, not just simply about grading, but an opportunity to gain insights into one's ability, potential, and future career pathways. We aim to be or on course to be the global leader in AI-driven educational and career assessments, reshaping how skills, knowledge, learning outcomes are evaluated and enhanced for anyone, anywhere in the world. We've embarked on a mission across the past year to transform the assessment landscape by developing innovative artificial intelligence powered solutions that provide detailed, personalized feedback and actionable learning insights. Assessify is dedicated to empowering millions of learners, students, and career aspirants by enhancing accuracy and skill matching, improving learning processes, and fostering career development to meet the standards of the modern workplace and live working environment. As part of this mission, as part of this journey, a big part of our team's role is to continuously speak and meet with faculty members, institution heads, career development teams, and actually students themselves. And what we've seen is a commonality in challenges that these individuals, teams, and institutions are facing. And the four kind of standout ones that resonate the most are things like a limitation in personalized feedback for the learners and the students themselves. When it comes to the employability, meeting the industry standards and the expectations of the modern workforce. Personalized and measurable learning outcomes, and actually specifically for the faculty members themselves, grading or automatically grading and tailoring that grading at a large scale when you deal with a class. Now, these challenges have helped us pinpoint this particular event today. And with that, what I'd like to do is just introduce the audience our esteemed panel, starting with no particular order, Dr. Julie Wall, Dr. Manpreet Manna, Dr. Osama Fayyad, Dr. Heinz Herman, Dr. Ashish Tendolkar, Vaso Astalopoulos, Bhupesh Daharia, Dr. Ulas Nambiar, and Dr. Pankaj Kumar Mishra, and Dr. Jadumani Jena. We hope that everyone can bring value and insight on each of these key topics. And some of the things that we'd like to discuss and some of the areas that we're going to try and dive a little bit deeper into is the impact of artificial intelligence and Gen AI on coding, education, and learning, AI automatic grading and personalized feedback, how and best practice around integrating AI tools into the academic curriculum, wherever in the world you may be located, enhancing the employability and success for in-campus recruitment, the idea of measuring learning outcomes and what the future trends will look like when it comes to that measurability. Then we'll look at case studies of successful AI implementation in academia, and we'll look at, maybe we'll touch on the toes of ethics, but future trends in AI and education, and the future desire and need for humans or not versus coding. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring us back into the room. And I am going to start to open the floor to our panelists. To kick off, the first question I'd like to ask is quite high level, and essentially that would be, what are the major challenges in traditional coding teaching and the learning experience that we're seeing? And to kick off, I'd like to hand over to Bhupesh Daharia to maybe give us some thoughts.
Thank you, Jack, and welcome everybody. Welcome, Hinge. Welcome, Professor Julie. Good to see you, Dr. Ullas. And it is wonderful to really have you, Dr. Manna, Dr. Pankaj, and all the audience from across the world. So this is a very relevant question, Jack. Now in academia today, everybody is really talking that what AI is going to really do the coding education. Now, as an educator and as a teacher in classroom, I've seen that traditional coding teaching has got a lot of bottlenecks. Number one, like if you have, let's say, if you have to teach Python or machine learning to 200 or 300 students in a classroom, don't forget about virtual world. It's extremely difficult to personalize. Each student has got different learning temperament. Their learning pace is different. Their IQ is different. They come from various backgrounds. Somebody's coming from computer science background. Somebody's coming from, say, BCom background. Somebody's coming from management background, right? Assimilating all this heterogeneous group and really personalizing it in the traditional classroom kind of environment is extremely challenging. That's the number one. Number two challenge is essentially when you really give assignment, you have to give feedbacks, right? And now when you have to really assess, let's imagine you have 100 students in a class and you even give, say, one assignment, you have 100 assignments. And after each session, and if you give, say, 10 assignment, that becomes virtually extremely difficult without having TAs, right? And more number of TAs is more number of cost and more over delay in terms of the feedback. Today's generation is don't want to really wait. And why they should really wait when the AI is really doing everything instantly. So students want the feedback immediately. So if I done the assignment, I want the feedback immediately, and the feedback at a personal level, right? So scaling this personalization, personalized feedback, right, at a large scale becomes extremely difficult. And specifically if you're running a university which has got like 20,000 or 30,000 students studying engineering, that becomes extremely impossible. And what you tend to really do, you cut down the number of assignment. And assignment is not only used to, say, select or discriminate the candidate. Assignment is a very important learning tool. And when you really ask questions, right, while even in this, say, panel discussion or in any kind of assessment, it triggers your neurons. And this actually tries to retrieve the information from your brain. And in that whole process, the strength between the neurons get strengthened, right? And that's how your recall improves. And different layers of the neurons get fired, and you will be able to really retrieve the multiple pieces of the knowledge and information and try to really build some kind of solution. So while the common notion or common perception in the masses, not in academia, is that assessment is just to really pass or fail. No, it is much beyond that. Assessment is the most important integral part of learning process, and that we have seen during the COVID period. And I think AI, not only on assimilation of the content, which is like ChatGPT or Bard, or for that matter, Gemini, is bringing the personalization, but at the same time, it is heavily influencing the traditional way of the assessment. So I think these are the couple of bottlenecks which traditional academia across the world is suffering.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bhupesh.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, I think someone's got their mic on. Yeah, so I think, they are sort of core challenges. I think, from your experience with, with your own sort of faculty team and sort of the personalization seems to be that critical that critical factor, given how different students learn and sort of absorb feedback and the different levels and stages that they're at throughout the curriculum year. It would be good to get the thoughts of maybe Ashish Tendulkar. Apologies to put you on the spot, but given your background, as both a professor and also one of the AI leads at Google, are these sort of challenges that you share, or sort of would you have anything to add to that?
Seems like Dr. Ashish has not joined.
No worries at all. On that, should we just open it up to the wider panel, whether, Julie, I'm not sure if you have any sort of thoughts on that from your experience.
Yeah, I guess what I could add would be that today, in terms of assessment, we're really prioritizing authentic assessment. So ensuring that those technical and soft skills that our students are learning are readily applicable for employment. And coding technologies, they're evolving so rapidly. AI is, it's just booming at the moment, and it can be a challenge for traditional educational institutions to keep up with that in terms of curriculum, and keeping pace with our industry needs. So having a collaborative effort between traditional teaching and learning, and having that real human interaction of our academics, but also bringing in AI to support. It could be the assessment of their coding skills, but yeah, that authentic assessment, that's something that AI can really help with, simulating real problems, real case studies into the teaching and learning of our students.
That makes sense. And not to push back, but essentially, what are some of the things that you're currently doing at the moment to try and close some of those gaps and enhance the preparation and sort of the career readiness for your own students?
Well, I'm a professor of AI at the University of West London. To keep our curriculum up to date, we're always in communication with the industry, so industry partners, to make sure that our teaching is up to date. But more and more, we are looking at ways that AI can help our students support the assessment, support their teaching and learning. And that's a kind of a big project ongoing at the moment, is how can we ensure that the impact of the AI is a hugely positive one, and it's enhancing their skills, problem solving skills, their deep understanding of the fundamentals of the subject. So it definitely is a collaborative process in teaching.
For sure. Thank you so much. Any other members of our panel have any thoughts, their own experience of certain challenges, or anything they'd like to add that either Julie or Bhupesh has said?
Yeah, I might add to it. So thank you, Julie. I couldn't concur more with what you just said. Authentic assessment is a real key word, as well as soft skills. Because when we look at the employability, the type of jobs that our students will have, maybe a data scientist, where they have to have domain expertise, they will engage with management to link between the data, its interpretation, and get it all ready for business decision making. That's a very consultative type of job. It's not just understanding coding. It's a whole raft of things. So what we do at our university, for example, is we very strongly encourage to use generative AI for students to develop codes. How do we keep the assessments? And then what they do is they have to defend and assess the code, whether libraries have particular vulnerabilities for being hacked or anything. And we use Agile. So Agile is part of software engineering anyway. So every week in class, they do a 1-minute stand-up per student where they report on the progression with respect to the project or assessment. So but one thing I do want to a slightly bigger picture perhaps is governance is really so important. So tools are great, but the governance fundamentals need to be right, because that is required to deliver benefits in personalized learning, critical thinking, and also adjusting learning methods. And for that, if you just humor me for 1 minute, I would like to draw an analogy between the human brain and the governance that is wrapped around the human brain when something goes wrong versus artificial intelligence. So a lot of the AI debate revolves around three major risks. The first one's technical failure, largely predictive accuracy. This is where we come across hallucinations, bias in facial recognition, or unfairness in hiring. Second area is reckless use. That is unintentional harm that comes from irresponsible use. Here we think of autonomous weapons, invasion of privacy, copyright infringements. And the third area is malicious use, the intentional exploitation of AI for malicious purposes, and cybercrime, deepfakes around disinformation. So there is Worm GPT on the darknet available. Fraud GPT is available for a monthly subscription. So the important thing is that the use of the human brain entails exactly the same risks. So if we just look at the first area, the technical failures, rhetorical question, do you understand how your brain works? Likely not. Are you afraid of using your brain? Certainly not. Similarly, we may not fully understand how AI works, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't use it. So what happens when our brain interprets past experiences in an adversarial way? So technical failure type of things. You see a psychologist or a psychiatrist. A psychologist then uses therapy to have a dialogue with you to understand and challenge your assumptions. In trauma cases, the psychologist might use EMDR treatment. This is the eye movement that affects the way our memories or data is stored in our brain and therefore how we access it for decision-making or feelings. And the psychiatrist prescribes medication that affects the way the brain works. So important thing to understand is that when we deal with AI, we become its psychologist or its psychiatrist. The psychologist's approach could be likened to chain of thought reasoning in prompt engineering. This is where we guide the AI not just to learn from the data, but also to understand cause and effect relationships between the different elements in the data. And like a psychologist, this then helps AI to challenge its own assumptions and improve its inferences. Alternatively, in more severe cases, and similar to using EMDR treatment in psychology, we might need to adjust the way AI remembers or learns from its past experiences. And that could involve altering a learning rate, changing the weight decay, or even using techniques like experience delay and reinforcement learning. So when it comes to the point of responsible AI, we need to recognize that current narrow AI is not aligned with human psychology because AI doesn't have a conscience or common sense. And it's therefore our responsibility to ensure AI respects ethical boundaries. Coming to the end and leading into the role of software engineers into this. So see, this is always, responsible AI is always a case of a psychiatrist approach, giving the AI patient its lithium medication. And the lithium treatment might be a toxicity classifier to filter out harmful outputs, or training the AI on a curated data set that excludes harmful content. So in other words, responsible AI needs to be addressed fundamentally at the psychiatrist level by software engineers that play a key role here, and governed appropriately by organizational processes and emerging laws. So the whole education of software engineers is paramountly requires the coverage of responsible AI. And when governance fundamentals are right, AI in education will deliver benefits in personalized learning, critical thinking, and adjusted learning methods.
Thank you so much, Heinz. And I did say on the introduction that I thought we might start treading on the toes of ethics and ethical AI and governance, and Heinz has taken us there a lot quicker than I anticipated. But I think you're completely right. And from one of the things that we see is maybe a level down pre kind of future governance, future sort of ethical infringements and so on. But even just when we think about students interviewing and running assessments or applying for roles, it's the misuse of AI to populate certain answers, that will fabricate their capabilities and actual readiness for certain jobs. And we see a lot of employers that do get sort of talent through the door. There isn't the talent that they've seen during the application process. So that misuse and oversight of how tools are used and are tools used in the right way, and actually getting true to form information even within the universities as well. So no, I think you're completely correct there. And look, I saw a question came up on the chat, just for Julie. Just for everyone's awareness, we will do a sort of an open floor Q&A once we've sort of covered most of the sort of talking points and questions. But this one was quite interesting, and it was just on what you were saying, Julie, around that collaboration effort. And one of our audience members would like to know, could you give us an example of how an industry partner has collaborated regarding AI and employability with the University of West London and yourself?
Yeah. Absolutely. So we have an advisory board from our industrial partners. And when it comes to our curriculum, we will meet with them over the year. Specifically, if we're looking to create new courses or new modules or update modules, we'll always want to keep that curriculum up to date. And having their insight and expectations of what they need from our computer scientists, data scientists, software engineers, that's critical. Another way we work with industry is through research. So our academics are very keen to do kind of applied research. So we like to work with industry. I myself work with tech companies, trying to solve problems, producing solutions for like financial services. So rather than being, dealing with theoretical problems, it's much more interesting to deal with real data, real problems, and that feeds down into, again, how we teach. So our research active staff who are working on real world problems, they feed down into like case studies that our students can tackle in their studies. So it's a kind of a two-pronged approach. We get advice from industry in what we should be teaching and what are those technical and soft skills that our students need to have going out the door. And that could be, very technical skills in terms of coding, but also, as Heinz was saying, they need to be able to defend their work. They need to be able to show that they have that deep understanding. They have critical thinking skills. They not only can produce a good CV, but they need to interview well. So it's across the board. But yeah, that kind of close partnership with, it could be our local, in our local borough of London, we're very keen to have partnerships with like local government and small businesses. It's hugely beneficial when it comes to supporting our students' employability skills.
No, 100%. I'd say I was at an event last week with a sort of a load of seed and growth stage tech companies, and it's exactly that. I think they are just as open to collaborate with local universities, certainly across London, to get first dibs on top talent that comes through. And I think when there's that mutual understanding between the two parties, it is much more powerful, as long as it's governed correctly at the same time. Moving on to another question, and this might be a little bit slightly broader. But I'd like to get the thoughts of the panel on how they see AI changing the overall landscape of not just coding courses, but actually the overall the spectrum of education completely. And it might be good to hear the thoughts of Dr. Osama Fayyad on this to kick us off.
Jack, Osama is not here. Let's hear from Professor Manna.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Yes, it's a very valid question comes to me because when I'm handling more than 50,000 students in my university and more than 2,700 faculty, and other than the academia, of course, academia is an integral part of my university, but other than the academia, the artificial intelligence is giving another thought process even. And I'll tell you one thing, it's very open remarks, I'm going to give it here. It's a beginning. It's a beginning of the new era. Still, we are just exploring the AI tools and AI applications. What about their fruits and side effects are going to become in the years? Because whenever the new technology comes, we are all fascinated. We are all curious. We are already excited to be put in every corner. For example, in my campus, starting from the lead generation, because for the 50,000 students, you understand what level of the lead generation has to be done. The students are using AI to be even finding their university, their school, their curriculum, their course, and who should be the mentor. At this stage, although they have just completed their, senior secondary school, and they want to be the undergraduate students to my campus or maybe other campus of my country as across world. So they are using. When then they come to the campus to make the easy living over there, rostering, scheduling, even identifying the best room in the hostel. They are preferring certain tools which we has given in the chatbot. They will find it because I want the morning sun ray comes to my side. At the same time, which particular course I should take in my first semester and which particular course I should take in the second semester, because they are already linked with the internship program for the sixth semester. How beautifully they are curating. What is the challenge I will tell you over here? Generally, from the last century, if you will see, the teacher and the student, there is a gap of 15 to 20 years of age, and at the same time, the mindset. But that gap was not that big in the books, in the textbooks, in the lectures, because they have almost similar kind of text they are going through, which I read. I'm teaching the same to the students. But presently, through help of AI, the digitalization, the gap has been so widened. The expectations level of the parents, expectation level of the learners, expectation level of the industry, expectation level over even the vice chancellor like me is so high, because we know that with a single click I can get all the things on my dashboard, because it is going to be get groomed. So that the today's learner is so fast learner in a technology, but at the same time the teacher is having the fundamentals of strong foot. They always says you have to be a fundamentalist. This is the mindset gap. This mindset gap, because of the expectations and the mismatching between the teachers and the learners' aspirations, is going to create a one challenge over here. Because teacher learned at that age when the AI was not even an elective subject, and they are teaching like me. I'm a teacher today, but when I was in my graduation, what I learned, you understand very well. So technology is so fast. Now I'll come to the curriculum part and the technology, that pedagogy. When we are in the class, the teacher is supposed to say, when I close the door, I'm the king, I'm the teacher, I'm the authority, I'm the dean. Let me teach in my way. But because of the tools, sometimes we are getting a very good alarms, very good suggestions, very good propagations. You can change your behavior. You can change your attitude. You can change your pedagogy, which is going to suit the today's learner. And there where AI is helping a lot, because of your gestures, your postures, your communication, your delivery art, your patterns, even your presentations, everywhere. It's because they are going to sense the real-time feedback from the learners and immediately inculcating in the system itself. When it comes to the evaluation system, the proctoring system, oh my God, it's amazing. Sitting at India, I can have the Harvard certification, I can have the Oxford certification. This was not possible earlier. See, the huge time, the energy, the money we are going to be saved because artificial intelligence helping me to be selecting the right corner for this world, which is good for me. Every day we used to have so many meals, but who will tell me which meal suits me today because of my yesterday's diet plan? Because my plan for appearing for examination or something. This is what the AI is going to be helping today my learners in academic world. Then it is going to be the fee structuring, evaluation, auto grading. Amazing. Earlier, sometimes it comes, oh, you are biased, man, because you are from that state, you are from that country, you are from that place. You must be giving 2 marks extra to this guy because he's so favorite to you. Sometimes it happens. We are human. We understand. We should accept it. And it should be there. But at the same time, the students will get a feel, that kind of trust. Oh, it's an auto-graded system. What exactly I have performed in my examination, immaterial, what is the E-quotient is coming from the teacher. I'm going to be get the I quotient to be get tested over this. So these are the certain parameters. Now I'll come to the last step because it is going from A to Z. When we are going to make the career progression of today's learner who spend 6 years or 4 years of time in my, academia world, in my campus, where they should be go and place themselves. Maybe industry, maybe research, maybe higher education outside India, or maybe sometimes they are going for some kind of government examinations. So this is the attributes which has been acquired by during this continued progression system can be given a true chart to the learner where you can be a fit in this world. End of the day, you have to be have the bread and butter, but at the same time, your passion becomes your profession. This kind of the terminology is coming from the artificial intelligence tools. If we are using wisely, if we are using timely, if we are using first exploring ourselves, just implementing it without exploring ourselves, without understanding, then it's giving a negative shape in the market. People says now AI is a master, we are the slaves. No, 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 no. We are the masters. We build the AI. We are the human intelligence. We should use wisely this artificial intelligence in every parameter, whether it's the LMS, whether it's your SIS, whether it's a SAS, and it is going to give a amazing, amazing inputs and foods for our academia. That's what I just want to say.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Manna. And actually, I think you're right in what you're saying. That I think we're all aware of the impact that the AI tools can have on global education and sort of career development, L&D, whatever the case may be. But just the same as, you know, the students are demanding a more personalization for their own development, I think we have to be aware that the institutions and the corporates are also looking for that same level of personalization. And actually, we are in control of the tools, and we have to make these tools right for us and make it right for our curriculum, our audience, our, you know, geolocation, whatever the case may be. So I think that's incredibly important. I did see that Dr. Ashish Tendulkar joined us. Ashish, if you are on the call, I'd love to get your thoughts as well. I gave you a little bit of an introduction earlier, but essentially we're looking at how AI is changing the overall landscape of global education, and just your kind of split time between profession and sort of academia, and also being a lead at Google. It'll be nice to sort of see the balance from your side.
Sure. Thanks, Jack, for inviting me. Let me. Okay, so what you are asking basically is how AI is going to change the overall global education scenario, right?
Correct.
And it is going to impact professionals, correct? Yeah. So there are a couple of very interesting things that are happening, in my opinion. As educator myself, one of the things that is happening is AI is offering what is called as some kind of information in a very condensed format, right? I mean, what is our general search paradigm, right? I mean, we used to go to Google, we used to start our search, and then we used to get different links, right? 10 blue links, and on those 10 blue links, we need to go through those 10 blue links, understand whether they satisfy our information intent, what information is presented in them, make some kind of summary or notes in your mind about what those links are talking about, and basically understand the topic, right? But the way it is, but the way new kind of these AI systems are changing this particular thing is now you can straight away ask questions and you get summaries of answers, right? I mean, which is great. If you today want to research about topic like transformers, right? The neural network models, which are powering these large language models, you can go to let's say one of these large language models and ask questions like, explain me transformer as if I'm a sixth grader or I'm a fifth grader, and it gives you information based on your context. And now you don't have to really search for those 10 buildings, go through them, make sense of what information is presented. So information is given to you on a platter, which I think is a great tool, in my opinion. So students can spend hours together on these systems to learn topic of their interest, right? Whether they do it or not is a different thing, but the tool is now available to you. The second way in which AI changing the landscape is by making assessment simpler, right? I mean, as Assessify, you also have developed tool, right, for assessing students. And I think this is great because there is student teacher ratio is always skewed. I mean, there are far less number of teachers for given number of students. So students never get that type of personalized attention, or if they want to know whether whatever preparation or whatever answers that they are writing to a question, whether it is correct or not, or whether it is as per the expectation of the examiner, they don't have access to the teacher. If every student starts going to teacher and start asking for guidance, the teachers are going to get swamped. So this is where AI can also help you. AI can help you, make assessments better of your content, which is great. And third aspect is, AI can also help you, let's say, get practice questions. So you can give a topic, and ask AI to generate questions similar to what your teachers are likely to ask. It can give you tons of practice questions. So, so there are three things, right? We talked about. One is the content. The content is getting nicely summarized. Second is it is helping students to prepare for exam by generating questions. And it is also helping students to also, check whether their answers are any good, or whether they are as per the expectation of the examiners. So I think these are three main things which are revolutionary. And I think AI can be used, again, I'm not saying that AI will replace teachers, not going to happen, but it will get you a great, augmented tool for you to learn beyond classrooms. When teachers are not accessible to you, you can use these tools in that light.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ashish. Julie, I might come back to you as we sort of dig a little bit more into this topic, and I guess go on a more practical kind of granular level. If we specifically look at coding education, and from your side, you touched on it before around it's ever evolving, but what is the impact specifically for coding courses that you're seeing AI have, and what type of things, or what type of sort of subjects do you think are critical in the curriculum at this stage?
Yeah, and I see there's a comment about this in the chat as well. The comment in the chat is about, say, engineering students. So if we're looking at our engineering and computer science students, obviously in terms of coding, Python kind of reigns supreme at the moment. So kind of a very practical thing. It's students going out into the workplace. If they're going to be working in tech, in some type of programming, having that skill of Python is, hugely beneficial. But in general, in, being able to keep up with the AI, how it's kind of changing things, I think modules around fundamentals of machine learning. Students really need to be able to understand the core concepts of algorithms, data structures, machine learning, neural networks. They need to have a literacy in, what are these concepts? Obviously, first years here in the UK, that would be like a level 4. It is an understanding at this point. As we go through the years into second and third year, they should be becoming familiar with the frameworks such as, PyTorch, TensorFlow, Keras, so that they have used the software, that they may potentially be using them when they do go into the workforce. When it comes to generative AI, again, it's all about, we should be teaching students not only in computing and engineering, but probably across the board. There has to be that base level of AI literacy. So whether you're doing marketing, business, computing, as Heinz says, when you go into the workplace, you are doing more than just a programming task. You have to be able to explain your work. You have to be able to write about it. You have to be able to, summarized in a daily stand-up. What are your current challenges? How are you going to go about solving them? So having hands-on projects, group projects, collaborative projects, where they're actually solving, again, real case studies, real world problems with, data that's as close as possible to real data, and for whatever industry they're working in. But yeah, it's that combination of using the latest code, coding languages and frameworks and tools that are actually being used in industry, and also having that, the understanding of the core concepts. I think this is key, absolutely, for computer science and engineering, but that core understanding, that AI literacy, that is kind of like a broader challenge that needs to be introduced across all disciplines.
Thank you. And Bhupesh, Pankaj, is this shared? I mean, especially I think about the AU School of Data Science. Bhupesh, is this common practice for the coding education at your institute?
So Jack, yes, for almost last 10 months, we have been doing it as a teacher. So I teach deep learning. Dr. Ashish teaches deep learning. He teaches across the India. He's a rock star. And we have been contemplating this idea for a long that, yes, how we can really use AI in terms of really assessing, because I am also engaged in a lot of other work other than the teaching. Teaching is a passion, but not I am like a full-time professor. So now AI has made it possible, because now I need not really bother about really assessing the candidate. So 10 months, almost a year back, I graded my student assignment on deep learning and machine learning, which is entirely code, through the AI. And to my surprise, pleasant surprise, that it has graded in such a fabulous way, which I could not really do it in my lifetime. And it has given the written feedback to each student, each line of the code, what they have done wrong, what good they have done. Because this part of the world, which Professor Manna and Professor Pankaj will agree, that we do not give written feedback, right? So you ask me to give a feedback, I can really give you a speech for 3 hours, but I can't really give you the feedback. Our teachers have not given, and we carry that method. Moreover, logistically, it's not possible. As Professor Manna has told you, they have 50,000 candidates, right? So in a batch, you have 200 candidates, 300 candidates. How are you going to really give? And if you have a 10 assignment, it's impossible. So for last 1 year, we have seen that, yes, this AI not only can really evaluate, grade, and then it can really give the feedback on each line of the code to the student. And that way now, I am able to really focus as a teacher more on the teaching, making these concepts like a transformer network or backpropagation, right? These are very difficult concept to really understand. Although the underline is a linear algebra, but the concept becomes pretty convoluted at a high level, right? And it's extremely difficult to really understand. And that's where you as a teacher really need to really invest time to make things easier for the student, and let this heavy work, specifically in my case, Assessify is doing, right? So now instead of 1 assignment or 2 assignment, I am able to really give 10 or 20 or 30 assignments, which is actually helping them to learn better, apply the knowledge in better, right? And I am able to really evaluate these candidates on various cognitive capabilities and getting much better insight, which personally I could have been able to really do, right? So I think we, at least in this part of the world, we talk about that we don't have much of the faculty. Every conference in last 30 years I have attended, and Professor Manna and Professor Pankaj will agree that we always crib about that we don't have the quality faculty. Now we need not really worry about that. In India, the entire Canada's population is studying in our higher education, right? That's the kind of number we are talking about. Okay, it's almost 40 million. Canada's population is not even 40 million. And higher, our K-12 is roughly around 350 million kids are studying, which is as good as America's population. When you have to really deal with this kind of number, I think this AI is just like a god, okay? Barring a lot of ethical and other issues which I try to really point out, we are not trying to really brush off. But at least in this academic area, now students need not really suffer because they don't have good quality of faculty, or they don't have, say, access to the technology now. So today, AI is able to really teach kids much better way. Students have much better satisfaction. And I think this is changing the way the coding is being taught the way coding assignment is being evaluated, and the way we are training and making students ready for the next generation of the jobs. Because AI is not going to really generate huge number of the jobs. AI is going to really eat away lot of routine jobs. And how we are going to really make our student ready for those high level of the jobs. And that's a very important thesis which we need to really work, that while the academia across the world is producing absolutely low quality of the products, right? We have failed collectively to really imbibe the higher cognitive capability. In the era of AI, I think AI is the tool which can really help us to really improve the higher level of cognitive capabilities among our students.
Amazing. Thank you, Bhupesh. And, I have seen that there's been a couple more comments. Lucy, I'll come back to yours because it does factor in with one of our sort of closing outlooks. And it is a very important question. And likewise with Hagen, we'll have Q&A at the end, but your point touches upon what Heinz Hermann was talking about earlier about that idea of governance and how misuse of AI can be managed moving forward, whether that be for assignments or for interviews and assessments for employment. Very conscious of time as well, and I sort of want to try and give as much space to the floor as possible. So I'm going to try and combine the next two questions, which are looking at the advantages of AI-driven automatic grading and personalized feedback for the students and for their learning experiences. And then actually, how does that then feed into and enhance the employability of engineers and coding graduates? And just from the experience of the faculty members and the esteemed panel, I'd love to get the thoughts of maybe Dr. Ulas on this, or maybe even Professor Manner again, because I think this is very something that you guys are quite on the money for.
Yes,
Jack,
I can.
Is it to me?
Yeah, please.
Thank you, Dr. Ulas.
Yeah. So great discussion so far. Having been on both sides, not so much in academia, but more in R&D, and then coming on to industry for a long time. I think this is certainly a moment, a huge shift. It's an epoch where AI has become, I would say, almost mainstream. There's still a long way to go, but at least I think compared to about 3 to 4 years ago, AI now is something that everybody has a reasonable understanding of, right? There are also, I would say, unreasonable expectations of AI, but AI has become a little bit more of an open box than what it used to be a couple of years back, because only folks who were working on AI, right, in some of the institutions knew what exactly AI was doing, because everything was hidden behind the scenes, right? Now, coming to this particular topic on coding and training, or students, I'm a little bit on the fence, right? I believe AI is an advanced technology. It is not something you start from somebody coming into college on day one. As Professor Julie said, you need the basics, right? So when I hire somebody, I don't ask, do you know how to do Python code? Do you know how to call the latest libraries? I ask, do you know data structures?
Right.
If you don't know data structures, right, you can write the greatest of Python code by copying a library, but when I put it into production, 9 times out of 10, it is not going to work because you don't understand what you're trying to do, right? And I'll give you an analogy. When I first went to US, I walked into a small store, a mom and pop store, and I was just picking up some small candy and a bottle of drink, and the power went away. And the clerk would not check me out because the adding machine was not working. So of course, I offered to do the math for her and said, look, this is the math, this is the exact change. But she refused to pick it up because the machine was not doing the math for her, right? My worry is that if we start giving kids GPT to code, they might lose the ability to code on their own, right? So they need to understand what are the basics of this. So in my own teams, right, I typically tend to do pair programming. The fresh folks who come in, I upfront tell them not to use coding tools, because there are two problems with coding tools of today. It could change in the future. A lot of coding, let's say a GitHub Copilot, is essentially picking somebody's code and giving it to you, nicely camouflaged. The challenge is, if the code has bugs, it accentuates those bugs. And if I am a poor programmer myself, I have no way to actually validate that the code is working or not. So typically, I tend to tell my more senior experienced folks that since you are very busy, maybe you want to actually use the tooling. But for the more entry-level folks, I typically tend to tell them not to do coding through tools like that. There are two parts. One is it's somebody else's code for sure. AI is not writing the code. So at Accenture, we are very, very clear about IP and infringement. So I don't want to end up somehow Microsoft or Google code in Accenture code without realizing it. So I don't want to have that. So I don't encourage that. And second is I prefer that the coders do coding. That's what their job is. They should write the code. They should own the code. I think the biggest challenge today, in my view, when I hired from academia, is that a lot of focus is on individual projects, whereas industry needs team projects. The ability to write code that my co-developer can consume, that is where the biggest challenge is, right? There is lack of documentation, lack of proper naming conventions being used, lack of functions, descriptions, commentary. So that's where a lot of time goes, right? Some individuals write great code, but then they just assume that somebody else will take the time to document it, and maybe they just hand it over to their colleague and say, you go and figure out how to use it, right? So those are the bigger challenges. It is not writing code. It is about making sure somebody else can use your code, right? And which is where obviously the folks who are in the open source community who contribute on GitHub, they have cracked that, right? So if you want to put it on GitHub, you need to have a certain sense. There is a certain documentation. But I think in our academia, in many cases, because of compressed time, so much material is there. As Professor Manna was saying, the curriculum is changing so fast. You're compressing more and more stuff within the same 4 years. You don't have the time to go into the deep details, right? So I see a lot of fresh graduates, and this has nothing to do with where they come from. It doesn't matter where they come from, tier 1 top colleges, unless they themselves have that intent and mindset. A lot of them have these fundamental mistakes. It is not the soft skills of talking. It is essentially a fellow programmer is not able to use their code. And that in an industry is lost time, right? I think so. That's where if AI can come in, and in the olden days of Java, there was something called Java doc. You could just write your Java code and run Java doc, and it'll create a nice description. I think Python probably doesn't really do that very well. But today the challenge is that people are not documenting it well, not writing it down, and hence reuse is really less. And that's the biggest challenge, Jack, that I am seeing, right? It's not the coding skills.
No, that makes perfect sense.
I wanted to really just add on this point. You address one of the very prominent question, which in fact, Dr. Anil Sahasrabudhe just, when I announced this panel, he just wrote me that when AI is writing the code, why now we have to really teach the code? And I think you have answered. And that's the reason we need to really give more and more, and number of assignment teachers need to really focus on building of the fundamentals. And programming language can keep on changing. Today, the Python, tomorrow, anything could be really there. So you have really hit the point, right? But the point is that, yes, a lot of heavy lifting when we have the large universities can be done by the AI, not teaching can be really left it to the AI.
Yeah. So
left to the AI.
Sure. So Bhupesh, the way I think of academia and teachers and professors like you is that you are not giving me fish. You're teaching me how to fish.
Right.
I think today what is happening is a lot of academics, a lot of, I'm not saying folks on this call, but a lot of, mom and pop, programs, which is, I will make you a master of AI, master of deep learning, is essentially giving fish. But what happens is when they come into industry, today you're a deep learning guy, but tomorrow I'm going to use transformers. You have no idea how to learn what the transformer does, right? Because you didn't learn how to fish. Right. You were given fish, so you can only survive for a day. So what we really need is, the educators need to teach how to learn, right? Today it is Python, tomorrow it will be something else. Today is AI, Gen AI, tomorrow it is going to be quantum computing. So I am very strict whether it is an Accenture. When I was at IBM Research, when I chose people on my team, one of the first criteria I had was, are they good learners?
Right.
Can they learn? Right? Can they learn? And fundamentally, can they unlearn and relearn? If they cannot unlearn and relearn, right, they are not on my team, right? And so far I have been successful. So I'll continue. So hopefully my methods do work. But and anybody on my team, you can tell it is very hard to be on my team because I'm not looking for your ability to write code. I'm looking for your ability to learn to write the next best thing. And I think that's what it is going to be. And obviously, they need to use all the tools. So I think that the fear of tools should be taken away. I think that's the other part I want to explain, right? A lot of people have the fear that, okay, GitHub Copilot is there, so what should I be doing, right? So these folks who have actually learned well will know that today it is GitHub Copilot, tomorrow it will be something else, but they are there to control this. I think we already discussed about it, right? They are not in control of us. We are in control of that, right? And how we use those tools to build the future. That is what this is all about, right? So if people are stuck to the fact that my job is to write code and the AI is writing code, so what will I do? Then I think they have not learned well. So as academicians, I think you have to instill that in your students, that the tools will change, the fundamentals remain the same, the concepts remain the same, the education remains the same. And if they learn how to learn, I think that's what this is going to keep them relevant in the future.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and it overlaps a lot with some of the other points that you obviously want to be empowering your students to be in control, and to see AI as a supplement to their learning and as a shop window. And I think that personalization, when we look at it from personalized evaluations, personalized feedback, and how, whether it be assessments, whether it be assignments, whether it just be the overall curriculum, everyone learns differently, and you want the ability to empower every single one of your students. It's
just to add one anecdote,
Yeah.
right? And you look it up, right? Yeah. Harvard did a study on and when GPT came out, they were looking at it, right? In terms of how does GPT help, and they picked a certain organization, which has one of the highest paid consultants in the world, and said, let's take a cohort of consultants and give them GPT and see what they can do. And the finding was that the best consultants, really their performance did not change because they had access to GPT. What happened is the average and below average guys were able to move up, but the best guys did not benefit. They were already performing at their best. The tool did not change anything for them. In fact, most of them didn't want to use the tool. And when I say GPT, they are doing research, these are consultants, right? So it did not benefit them. In fact, they found it as a hindrance to go back and type because they could do all the stuff on their own. The average guys were able to move up. So there is going to be a benefit of using the tool for a certain cohort. So in your classroom as well, you'll find the best folks may not benefit from it, right? But there would be folks who could really benefit from the tooling. And that's the fine line as educators that you will have to figure out. It is not a one size fits all. And many times that we make the mistake, right? We just say, okay, this is the new thing. Everybody has to use it. But sometimes, you have to go in and figure out whether the tool is really helping. And the study is public, so you can search and find out. The details are public on that.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. I am a little bit conscious of time for everyone, and I'd like to give the opportunity for our audience to ask a few questions. I can see that there's been a few, and so if the audience wanted to sort of just use the chat box on Zoom to send it through a few. I think, Lucy, we answered yours there around the need for human coding moving forward, and I think Dr. Ulas really lent on that. Professor Manoj, I see that you have a question. I'd love to know what that is.
Meanwhile, can we really have the comment from Professor Pankaj and Vasu?
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Yes, great opportunity to listen all the eminent personalities. And when the presentation has started, I was wondering that Jack Hassel is a AI or he's a human, right? Because earlier one video was playing where the AI was doing everything. So I was still wondering about the Julie Wall also. That was there in the humans or they are there.
I was trying to hide the mess in the room behind me. I didn't want anyone to think any less of me.
Still not confirmed that Jack is a human or AI, right? So it's a much, need of our, and this kind of solution, if you can provide to the higher education institution, will be really fantastic. And we are eager to, Indians are always fast in adopting the things. So we are really excited to see that kind of change. And in the coming time, we hope that the time will come and Jack Hassan and other teams will demonstrate and elaborate what the SSFI is doing for our Indian education system, right? Although we are the great country having 29 years median age as the working force, we have 37% of the population is having the smartphone connectivity. We are the world cheapest internet provider. 6.70 rupees per GB data we are providing. We have the highest data consumption, 13.65 GB per month per user. This kind of data we have, this kind of statuses we have. So India is ready and on the track to the growth. And soon we are having our dream to become Viksit Bharat and other things. But again, there are challenges, and if that kind of challenges can be solved with the tools, what the Jack is having, what the SSFI is having, it will be great to adopt that kind of technology. Although challenges are there, but we are always welcoming the technology. The codings and all. I have many friends and many my students are also working in IT industry. And they are the programmer, they are the coder. When I asked about the chat GPT, they are saying without chat GPT, they are not able to write the code. So I told that you have been spending, more than years, more than decades in the software industry, how you are relying on it. So they are saying, so for the mundane kind of task is done by the AI. So why to work, right? The humans can work in some other direction, right? So for example, for me as a professional, sir, I need secretary. Now I don't need any secretary. For writing a single email, my secretary took me 4 hours, but AI take me microseconds to write down that. I just have to give the prompt, and that prompt is again depending. And most of the 90% of the people are using AI in a query mode only. They are not using the contextual mode and third partner mode. So once everybody will have that kind of direction, soon the things will be changed. And science is a boon or curse. This kind of essays we are having since our childhood, but AI is also a boon or curse, that kind of action. But I personally believe AI will help all of us to make our life easy, and SSFI will also help us in our day-to-day operations and our academic purpose easy. That's my belief. With this note, thank you very much for inviting me with this great forum. Okay, Jack.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Human or as an AI model? Thank you.
I promise you, I'm a human. I just didn't want the classic have my son running around behind me or the dogs attacking me while I'm on the call. So I thought it would be better to hide it this way. Vaso Asalopoulos, I know we haven't had a chance to hear too much from you, but based on what some of the opinions and insights and thoughts shared by the panel, we'd love to get your thoughts and see if there's anything that you would challenge some of the thinking of the others who have spoken.
Yes, thank you for inviting me. So basically, I'm more of a researcher, and I'm finding that AI has good and bad. So I'm going to give you a bit of a perspective from a research point of view. The bad that I am finding is that a lot of my students, when I get them to write their papers, so the findings, the research findings, and write them as papers, they're not able to formulate the papers properly because I can tell that they are using AI or chat GPT or whatever you call it. They're using that, and because so they're missing the the way of formulating a proper scientific paper. So you have to go through the literature, you have to find relevant papers, background, then when you discuss your work, you discuss it. I'm finding that they're just missing that. And I keep going through the basics with my students and saying, okay, this is how you formulate a paper. You go through PubMed, or you do searches of research publications, and that's how you formulate them when you come up with your paper. But I could tell the ones that have done it properly and the ones that have used AI, and they're just relying on what is written by AI, and they're not actually searching to see if it is accurate. So a lot of times it's not accurate, the information they are receiving, and they are writing it down. And then also they are not using the proper references, because AI would write something for them but would not include references. And then when they try to insert references, they're all completely irrelevant references. They're not the correct references. So that's one of the bad things that I have seen with the use of AI and writing of their publications. So it's a bad thing. So we're losing the way of writing proper papers. In a way, the good about that is it helps them with the language. If some students who have difficulty writing in English language, it would reword what they say or what they want in in better English language. So that is probably one good thing. Now, we use AI for medical research. I know this is more about teaching and students, but I have a lot of PhD, masters, undergraduate students where we do research. But we're using AI in a good way, where we're coming up with ways to detect and prevent falls in the aging population, in the elderly, where I've been working on vaccines for the last 30 years. So over the last 30 years, I have seen the progress in making vaccines, and AI, or these algorithm programs, help with designing better vaccines, drug development, etc. We also am using AI to go through medical data, and it's quite efficient. AI can process a vast amount of medical data very quickly, much faster than a human. And if you have scans over the years of, for example, we're looking at brain scans, and over the years of the patient, the AI will be able to pick up changes that are occurring over time, which is very difficult for the human to pick up. So there's a good in that way, where we are using it in regards to medical research. It's been also used for medical diagnosis and imaging, and it's improves the diagnosis of diseases. So there's one good aspect there. It just depends how we use AI. You can use it for the better, for the advancement, but also the negative is the over-reliance of AI, and the new students, the young students that are undergraduates going on to do PhDs, for example, they are relying too much on AI, and they're just losing focus and ability to write proper. So that's my perspective as a research point of view. So there's the good and the bad.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. And I think regardless of profession, should we say, or the uses, I think we're all concerned about the neglect around how it's used and how technology is used. And it sort of touches on exactly what Dr. Ulas was saying, in the sense that I think we need to find strategic and sort of transformational ways to not just empower the students, but also empower the professors, the lecturers, and the actual teachers of any course, whether it be specific to coding or not. Because like anything, it's it's the justification. It's about, steering the ship. It's exactly, it's teaching to fish versus giving the fish. AI is a powerful tool, but it's a supplementary tool. It's not the core foundations, and teaching should be about developing individuals so that they can then steer the ship in the future. So I completely hear the challenges around that. Again, I know we've got sort of around about 10-15 minutes left of the session. Anna, I've just seen your question come in around understanding how assessments can get marked using AI. We're going to kind of feed into just giving a little bit of an insight into kind of how we are thinking about sort of that particular tool and that particular process. I did, and I apologize. There was one more question that I wanted to give the floor. Been very patient, Professor Manoj Paladaka. Apologies if I've said that incorrectly. I know you want to ask the question, but I think we have to make you a co-host to do that, and you won't have the ability to talk. So I'm not sure if the team are able to just make Professor Manoj a speaker so that he can ask his question to the panel.
Yeah, Jack, we can enable the audio for
amazing. Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Professor Manoj.
thank you very much.
Pleasure.
So it was really a wonderful discussions going on, but my question to Mr. Ullas specifically about the topic which he has covered is a lot of discussions always happen about enhancing the learnability of the candidates, engineering candidates. So we also as a academia or as a training and placement officer face a lot of challenges.
Is your question done, Professor Manoj?
I think you lost audio.
Yeah, Professor, I think we lost you on that one.
Okay. So we can please take it at the end, Jack?
Yeah, I think so. What I'd like to do now is, firstly, thank you so much to all of the panelists. I think, such a rich variation in opinions, positions, outlook, whether that be based on where based in the world or, specific kind of disciplines that they're working on. And thank you so much for the questions throughout as it really helped shape the direction of where we're going. Touching upon the last point from Anna Jardine about how we're looking at assessments, touching on some of the key points that we've spoken about: scalability, personalization, authenticity, ethical uses and non-neglect by students and faculty members of the overuse of AI, the over-dependency on AI. I'm going to hand over to one of my colleagues who's going to give just a rough overview of how some of our technology works through that assessment process, both to upskill the student, give them that sort of developmental sort of key points based on their pace of learning and their individual needs, how it can support the overall curriculum and actually affect that employability and better prepare individuals for real life experience. So Purvesh, the floor is yours for whenever you're ready.
Yeah, thank you, Jack. Thank you so much. So let me quickly share my screen and the presentation. Yeah. So I again welcome everyone, the respected speakers and all the attendees. My name is Purvesh. I work as an head customer experience at SS5. So we had already had a lot of discussion on AI and other stuff. So let's see the magic now. Let's see AI in action. So this is my take through from my presentation. So this will be the pointers that I will be covering in my whole presentation. So we'll start with the first point, that is the instant auto grading that we do at SS5, and that helps the students, that helps the faculty members to ease their work. So let us quickly go to the next slide. Yeah, so if you can see on the screen, this is the actual submission done by a student. Okay, this is a code submission done by a student, real code written. So as you can see, the AI system is going to do the auto evaluation for this particular code, for this particular submission done by the student. So this was the question, this is the submission done, and let's have the auto grading now. Yeah, so you can see how quickly it has done the auto grading, and now we'll see the results. So we are more focused on not only the auto grading or the personalized feedback, we are also focused on the scale. So here, just imagine that you're doing this kind of assessment, kind of evaluation to large number of scale of your students. So it is a very difficult task as far as a faculty to evaluate, to provide the personalized feedback to this. So as you can see on the screen, now the auto grading is done. And let me quickly pause it here. So if you can just see on the screen, so the system has auto-graded this particular assessment, and it has also provided a personalized feedback. So as a student, I get to know like what is the scope of improvement for me, like where I have done my mistakes, where was my syntax error, what better I should do to write this code again, write this answer again for this particular question. So it really helps me as a student. Correct. And if you see this particular scenario from a faculty point of view, in a classroom of 100, 150 or 200 students, to provide such kind of evaluations, such kind of auto grading and the personalized feedback to every student is highly impossible. Correct. So here the SSFI platform comes into the picture, which helps the student to go through maximum number of assessments, assignments, and also to faculties to provide this great number of assessments so that they will get to know the actual learning of the students. Correct. So this was the example of how the AI system, SSFI AI system, is doing the auto grading and how they are providing this kind of personalized feedback to each and every students for each questions. And not only this, at SSFI, once the student go through this particular assessment, once they see this feedback, they can also review the question, because each and every question is been provided with a model answer as well. So the students can go through it, go through their questions, go through their answers. So let's quickly have this. It's again a same type of question, same type of evaluation as happening. So yeah, just let me back. Yeah, so if you can just see on the screen, the same kind of question is there. So again, the evaluation has been done. You can see the personalized feedback provided by the AI system. If I just move further, yeah, so you can see this was the feedback provided by the system, as well as the model answer that I was talking about the students. So they not only going through the assessment, they're also going through the learning. So when they are on this platform, they are going through the assessment as well as they are going through the learning as well. So this kind of model answers are provided for each and every questions they are going through.
That Aegis, let me intervene over here.
Yeah.
So we're teaching data science, machine learning, Python, these are kind of courses. One senior professor is having almost 4 to 5 TAs or junior professor research scholars. Those who actually roam in a class and they assist each student, they try to really give this kind of feedback, verbal feedback. Now, if you're giving the home assignment, the delay is there always in evaluating the assignment. And the number of assignment, we are not able to really give. So as an administrator of the school, I also realize that if we really push faculty members that give more number of assignments so that the student will become industry ready or their learning will go into deeper level, they are not able to give because eventually the load will come back on them, right? So they have to really teach, they have to really evaluate. And in typically Indian structure, they have to also prepare hundreds of reports for various regulatory authorities. So they're already overburdened, overstretched. And that is where, as Dr. Ullas has pointed out, they miss on actually going deeper into the fundamentals. And the learning becomes only at a superficial level. Thank you, Purvesh.
Thank you, sir. So this was it, the auto grading feature that the SSFI AI has, and definitely it is very beneficial to students as well as to the faculty members. So let's move to the second part. Okay, so you are all familiar with the old age saying that the practice makes perfect, correct? So even at SSFI we believe that consistent practice will definitely enhance your skills as well as it will prepare you for the academic excellence. So here we introduce SSFI test library.
We have put up a lot of questions on DSA.
Yeah.
Not only on the programming, but all the fundamental stuff.
Correct. It has a mixture of coding assignment. It has a mixture of mock interview preparation, MCQs, aptitude tests, everything you will get on this test library. And it helps the students to more and more get engaged with the platform and have a more and more learning. So we will move to the next part, wherein not only this, the platform even goes beyond the traditional assessment, and we also have this mock interview preparation platform for the students, and it is very helpful for the students when they are getting ready for their campus recruitment process or placement process. So so let's quickly have a look at this particular feature, and then I will go in deeper, and I will explain you. So let's hear this audio of the student submission.
A hash table is a data structure which uses an array to store data. Each block in the array holds a single key value pair. The core of the hash table is a hash function. This function takes a key and turns it into a small index value.
Yeah. So this was an audio recorded by a student and uploaded to SSY platform. So as you can see, we are using this technology of speech to text. And again, once the answer is converted to the text, and we are providing this particular assessment or particular feedback to the students. So as a student, as a student, they are not really dependent on their career development team to get in touch with them and then prepare themselves for the placement or for the job ready, correct? So here there is a set of questions. I can record my responses, I can record my answers, provide this responses to the SSY platform, and I can get the reward from them, correct? So here the system is also empowering the career development team to reduce their workload, to reduce their time and efforts to go and connect with each and every candidate, correct? And the student. So here it helps the students to get job ready, to get ready for the campus placements, correct? So here is the another taking from our SSY platform. So we'll move to the next slide for any questions.
Jump in. So I saw that there was one candidate who was struggling to really crack interviews, and always he used to come back and tell me that, sir, I am doing pretty well. But if you're not doing pretty well, then why you're not getting the offer? So at the end of the day, we gave them access to this platform, and then the very next day he came back to me and told me that yes, I am not really doing well because I was thinking that I am doing well, but I am really cutting my answers pretty short. And this actually can really give individual personalized feedback to each candidate. Now, I am personally using it in my class to evaluate candidates even on topics like linear regression or CNN, wherein I am giving them a lot of fundamental questions, and these students are really responding in their voice. So they might really copy the code, or they might copy the answer and put it over there, but when they have to really record their voice, they have to, and specifically in the classroom or in AI proctored environment, they can't really, their ability to cheat reduces down. And this also helps them to really practice for further, not only reinforces their learning, but prep them for the job which they have to really face tomorrow.
Yeah, just to jump on that, I could feel on the first part of the demonstration, especially when it's the coding evaluation, it was just touching on the sort of one of the challenging points that I think everyone on the panel discussed around misuse and actually cheating and copying code from a different platform and putting it in to complete assignments. I think the second you have to add that human element, there has to be that justification, there has to be that conversation around the way of thinking. I think this element has multiple touch points. So the benefit to the student, obviously, for their own evaluation and self-development, it gives a lot more transparency to the professors and the lecturers and the faculty to look at where each member of their class are, but also that preparation for interviews when it comes to employability, when it comes to corporate stage. And Dr. Ulas might be interviewing someone from a university. They've improved that skill set so that they are real world ready and ready for the job that they're actually applying for. So yeah, sorry, Pivesh, to jump in there.
No, please, yeah, sure. So we'll move to the next part of the presentation. Yeah, so we'll come to this point wherein not only the platform is offering you the auto grading, the personalized feedback, but as a faculty, you're also getting in-depth understanding of the student, whether they are really learning out of this platform, out of this teaching that you're doing to them, correct? So this is a particular feature that we have, wherein you can measure the actual learning outcome of the students, not only on a basic recall level. You can also go to a next level, or the last level, that is creation as well, correct? So there you get to know whether the students are really performing well in their academics. So really they're getting the knowledge, really they're understanding. So from this particular report, you'll get to know, as you can see, this is backed up by the Bloom's taxonomy, where it starts from remembering, understanding, and goes to the creation. So you'll as you saw on the initial screen, the student has got a singular grade, that is 60 out of 100. So out of that, you'll really will not get what is the actual learning of the student. So here on this particular screen, we distribute that grade into each level of understanding, that is remembering, understanding, application ability, and then finally the creation. And we provide a report to you that gives you a better idea of what the student has really learned out of their academics.
So this is a killer thing, because while the whole country, so the West has already moved into outcome-based education, India is trying to really move on outcome-based education through new education policy. But keeping the education policy aside, this becomes very more important in the backdrop of AI, that not only the lower cognitive capability will be important, but to become employable, you need to really move up into the ladder into higher cognitive capability. To give you example, application of a knowledge, you can really write a code, perhaps say convert say centigrade to Fahrenheit. You can really write a code. But if you have to really design a very complex software like Assessify, which uses multiple say kind of databases, cloud system, AI, deep learning, machine learning, domain knowledge, multiple pieces, you can't really get automated code generated by the Copilot or maybe say ChatGPT or other places, right? So maybe ChatGPT can really generate a code for login, or maybe a script for facial recognition. But multiple pieces need to be put together and create a complex system, which is very highest level of cognitive capability, which Dr. Ullas was also trying to really say. But at the same time, you also need to really evaluate whether the candidate is capable of finding out any bug into the software or not, which Henge was trying to really point out. So you have to really move beyond this singular outcome, which is 60% or B grade or C grade or A grade. And you need to really break down the cognitive capability which any student has been able to really build, which is in traditional way, it's kind of impossible. For a large sample of questions, you can really find out this kind of study in say very small sample of 10 or 15 or 20 questions. But if you have to really do on aggregate level of 200 assignments, projects, MCQs, descriptive coding assignments, building up this kind of report is kind of impossible, right? Which this platform does it pretty well. And over here as a teacher, you will be able to really point out that yes, this candidate is extremely good in remembering and understanding, but definitely he'll not get a job because his higher cognitive capability has not been either evaluated, or you have not given the questions, or he is not performing well. And based on that, you can really do multiple learning intervention strategies. Thank you, Purvesh.
So we'll move to the next part. Yeah. So this is again a kind of report. So you get a topic-wise report, how the students are performing at their end. Yeah. So even we have planning of scheduling the your existing curriculum with the training that you will be having through SS5, correct? So you can map that those assessments with the your existing curriculum. Yeah, that's it. So thank you, everyone. So last, to conclude the presentation, I would like to say that Assessify AI empowers the faculties to administer a great number of assessment to their students without concerning the actual process of evaluation, correct? It also enables students to go through all these assessments, providing them the instant results and the personalized feedback, and preparing themselves for the new opportunities through their mistakes. And finally, it supports the career development team as well in assisting every student to make them prepare them for the placement opportunities. Thank you so much.
So
Thank you
this
so much,
platform can be used not only for giving the home assignment or remote assessment. At AGS, we are using this platform in classroom assignments. So let's example, I teach in morning, so I prefer teaching in the morning, right from say 9 o'clock to say 12 o'clock. And after that, post lunch, students are being given assignments, tons of the assignment in the classroom only. Other than they carry the assignments at home. And when they do the assignment, home assignment, we typically activate, say, AI proctoring in almost 70 to 80% of the assignment, not all assignments.
Thank
I
you,
hope this
Deepesh.
answers your question.
Yeah, thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Jack. Yeah.
Just to, I mean, that we've looked at we've understood the challenges. We've looked at kind of, I guess, how we're seeing the challenges. But just to close off, my colleague Anita is just going to give a little bit more insight into how this solution and how Assessify has evolved over time and how it's gone through variation of different development stages, because obviously we've run a series of test cases with many sort of students, and Anita, I think you can give a little bit more clarity on the test cases, the feedback, and sort of what's been tweaked to make sure that it is ready for the student and also the future workforce of today.
Thank you, Jack. So here I am. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Anita Ram. So after such a meaningful discussion, what we heard during the panel round on how is AI revolutionizing the code skilling and employability, we heard that from our esteemed speakers, about the challenges and the key focus point that highlights the use of AI in education, developing the coding skills, and leveraging the employability benefit through it. After that, I think you have seen the magic of a platform, Assessify, through the detailed demonstration, how it really works. Now, let me take you through the journey of Assessify. So here we'll answer certain questions like what we can do for you, how you can use the Assessify platform, and our journey. So let me first focus on the innovation by Assessify. So we are the one of we are the one who have launched the world's first learning outcome measurement platform. This is basically for programs, for courses, subjects, and topic at various granular levels to measure the cognitive capabilities of students. Then we've also launched world's first AI-powered auto-evaluation and grading tool that helps to auto-evaluate and grade subjective and descriptive kind of assessments. Then we have also come up with world's first AI-powered auto-personalized feedback that helps and deliver expert feedback on subjective assessment, on descriptive assessment, for coding assessment, for vivas, for interviews, and it helps to guide the student to understand their mistakes, to learn from their mistakes effectively. Then we have also come up with AI auto interview system, AI auto interview tool, which you have seen in the presentation, in the demonstration. It helps to stimulate the interview process with AI. It offers personalized feedback and it helps the candidate to learn from their personal feedback and refine their interview skills. Then we have also launched AI proctoring mechanism, AI proctoring facility. It helps to proctor every test, every assessment which is being conducted through the Assessify platform so that it can really monitor any kind of malfunction happening during the assessment. Lastly, we've also come up with one of the most unique feature, coding auto evaluation and feedback. So we have seen multiple kind of tools and platform available right now for everyone to use it. But we have come up with a unique feature of adding a personalized feedback to the auto evaluation of coding platform. So this helps for any student who's appearing for coding evaluation. It helps for auto evaluation post their assessment is done. It offers a line by line feedback to the students, help them to learn from their mistakes and improve their programming skills. So now I'm here to discuss about two different solutions what we are offering today, Assessify for coding education and Assessify for campus preparation. Let's talk about Assessify for coding education. So as you all know that Assessify is an intelligent assessment platform that seamlessly get integrated with any kind of technology and programming language. So you can use the Assessify platform to conduct various kind of coding tests, assessment, assignments, plan them topic-wise and schedule them for the students. Every assessment, what a student will appear for, first it will get auto-evaluate, then the students will get an detailed feedback to understand their performances, and you as in faculty or an HOD will get a detailed report to understand the student's performance with a granular level understanding, which already you have seen in the demonstration part. So this solution can be easily implemented in conduction of classroom tests, in conduction of everyday coding practice in the institutes. And this is something which will be used by the faculty members, and this is for the HODs, for the dean. So SS5 for coding education is for the institute at the academia level. Then I come with the second solution, which is called as SS5 for campus preparation. Now, SS5 for campus preparation is an intelligent assessment platform that provides students with various n number of practice tests to rigorously appear for test after test and learn from it. It also gives a detailed and deeper level of report for the student to understand their performance with a personalized feedback so that they can improve their performance on timely basis. And similarly, their faculty members can also see the reports and understand their performance and their growth. This platform, which is SS5 for campus preparation, would be used by the career development center heads, would be used by the training and placement officers, and of course for the students. Moving ahead, I'll talk about the solution for campus recruitment preparation. So multiple solutions what we have. So we introduce you to aptitude mock practice test. So we provide with aptitude mock practice test, like for subjects like quantitative, for reasoning, for English, data interpretation, and lot more. Then we have industry standard mock assessment available for the students to prepare to give multiple tests on these lines and prepare themselves where they can be industry ready. Then coding mock practice tests for various programming languages like C, Java, Python, etc. Then we also have knowledge and skill mock tests at topic level. So it is all bifurcated. You must have seen in the repository what we were showing you during demonstration on subjects like database, AI, cloud, marketing, HR, etc. And also AI-powered mock interview practice and preparation with personalized feedback, which we already discussed. And then detailed performance report with minute input, which is really required to measure the performance of any student at a very minute level. Also, our platform supports a unique feature, that is Auto AI CV Creator for any student, where a student can input his basic information along with his skill set to the platform, and the platform will design a CV for the students to prepare. Now coming to really measure what we have actually done through our platform in these days. So we had conducted a couple of pilot. So the sample size what we have taken was of 20 institutes where we have conducted the pilot through SS5 platform. Around 3,000 plus students appeared, they registered and appeared for this pilot, and that were for different kind of test format. It was, as you can see, 29% student out of this huge number appeared for interview kind of a test, 34% appeared for coding test, and around 37% of the students appeared for the aptitude test. So when this pilot test was going on, we got a lot of feedback from the students and the faculty members who were using the platform at the first place. Their feedbacks actually helped us to improve the performance of the platform and integrate more and more feature, which made the platform today a very user-friendly platform for the students to really use. That's all from my side. Let me now share a link with you all to give your responses and the feedback about the session, how it was. And we would be happy to connect, each one of us from our team would be happy to connect with you all to understand your requirements and customize the platform according to your requirement and give you a detailed individual demonstration. So that's all from my side. In case if there is any question, we are open to take 1 or 2 questions.
Thank you so much, Anita. And just to echo what Anita said, and also to touch on what Pinank's question was in the chat.
Yes,
in
the
terms
feedback.
of pricing and all that sort of stuff. I mean, the way that we operate is on a scaled basis. So we treat every institution individually, every corporate that we work with individually, dependent on things like numbers of students and core needs and requirements and where those sort of key gaps are. So utilize the feedback form that Anita has just distributed in the chat. You know, what we can do is we can book in a conversation or a walkthrough, a consultation as to how the solution might be able to help. And then what we'll try to do is align things like pricing or do test cases and pilot partnerships and so on based on both of those requirements to make sure that it's as good a fit as it can be for your needs. So drop us a note in that. We'll distribute some information around following the panel discussion anyway, but yeah, we'll keep a dialogue ongoing with anyone that would require it, and you can just sort of give us some insight on that form. Now, to close the session, I know we've gone slightly over, and I do appreciate everyone's time and patience and sort of attention for this. I'm going to say my own personal thanks to not only the panelists, but for everyone who tuned in to the session. Exceeded my own expectations. I really appreciate all of the feedback, the honesty, the sort of the clarity and transparency of those core challenges that you're all facing, and also the outlook on some of the solutions that are required to make positive change and sort of the right ethical changes moving forward. But for our closing remarks, I'd just like to hand over to Dr. Ajodamani Jenna, who's just going to see us all out.
Hi, Jack. Thanks a lot. And I must say it was a wonderfully coordinated and moderated session where every aspect of AI has been deliberated from the research side, from the academic requirement, and also from the industry point of view. Well-rounded 360-degree discussion which has taken place. But one thing I just want to add, that the feedback system now is the current learning process with so much of information and intelligence available everywhere, in every platform and globally and through internet. Okay, there's a lot of information. The learning system has changed. You don't require anymore that the students have to, or you tell the students what is to be learned. But we just tell them what are the differences, what are your expectations, and the children will learn by themselves. But what is more important for a faculty in any educational academic institute is to assess whether the child, whatever you intended has learned and how much he has learned, and give a feedback. Okay, this is a fixed education system which has already come. In fact, I have gone through one such education during my military services, where the faculty which will just tell us what is to be studied. Within 5 minutes, you will tell, and we'll struggle for 3-4 days to find the answer. And but where the problem actually comes onto the faculty when he marks he goes through all our write-up and gives us feedback where you have gone wrong or where you are right. Okay, so and he struggles in that. So I think this Assisify is a tool which will do much good to the faculties who are teaching in any subject, in the coding or any subject. Okay, so you assess and give a feedback to the students. So it is a continuous learning process. It has to be continuous, and that is how it will improve. And one more thing you have to do is that you have to take it to the where it finds an application for the common man. If AI can solve some problems from the common man, then you will find AI will find the traction and will be adopted into the society very quickly. And Assisify can be one of the tools which will help the faculties, the industry, everybody towards this direction. And so at the end, I thank all the panelists, Dr. Julie, Dr. Mana, Dr. Ulas, Dr. Haynes, Dr. Assis, Ms. Vas, Dr. P.K. Mishra, and Mr. Bhupesh Daria for the wonderful time and wonderful discussion we have here. And I also thank the team behind Bhupesh, Anita, and Purvesh, and many other people who have worked hard to make this success. Thank you all. Have a nice time and see you again.
Thank you so
sir.
much,
Thank you
Dr.
so much.
Jenner. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Hinge. Thank you, Professor Julie.
Thank you. That brings
My
us to a
pleasure.
conclusion, guys. We do hope to see you again. We'll be hosting another virtual panel discussion in June, looking more at how AI can improve campus recruitment success. So, we'd love for you guys to join. But in the meantime, feel free to reach out and contact us, and we'll catch up then. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
It was great meeting you, right? It was such a wonderful panel.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.